You need to stop turning your hips in the golf swing. Yeah, you need to stop turning them. It's mental, I know. This relates to another video, which I'll link at the end of this video, that's transforming the way golfers hit the ball, the distance they hit it, certainly the direction. And it's such a common problem that we're just seeing with so many students. This idea relates to why you can't stop coming this way on the way down, swinging more to the left. This is why so many people leak so much power, even when they feel like they're hitting the ball hard, it doesn't really go anywhere. The ideas in this video relate to why you can't hit ball then turf strikes. They also relate to why we get slicey drives, big curvature, lower launches, weaker shots, higher spinning ones. And it also shows a glaring difference that we commonly see between pros and amateurs. And for lots of golfers, it's to do with their relationship with how they feel like they put the club on the ground. And what I mean by that, if I just stand up right here and have the club out in front of me, it doesn't touch the ground. So people think the way to get the club on the ground is just to bend forwards. And in the golf swing, we're meant to turn, aren't we? So we're meant to rotate. So we start seeing these kind of club paths and shots. I mean, that's a chippy 8-iron cutting. Where with pros, what we actually see, and lots of them wouldn't be able to articulate that they're doing this, but with the use of my Swing Catalyst dual force plates here, it just shows it up glaringly. We've got some examples to show you in a second. What pros are doing to get the club on the ground, they're using lots of tilts with turns, which pushes that club on a better path, gets better strikes, gets more speed, gets offending the ground loads better, and gets them being better players than the average golfer. Let's show you this test. So I've made two swings here. One where I feel like I stay quite level with my hips and just rotate more this way. And two where I feel like I'm really trying to tilt my hips as they move. So I'm really trying to get lead hip down, trail hip up, lead hip up, trail hip down. Now, coming down into impact, here's where we really see a huge difference in these graphs here and also in these arrows. Just look at the arrows. Look at my blue arrow on the one where I'm tilting my hips to my red. Look how much bigger the blue is to the red. And on this one, look how much bigger the red is to the blue. I'll show you what that means in a second. Also, look how the green isn't very high where the green is way higher on this one. If we carry that on a bit further, again, you see the green going up through my Strixon hat. The green arrow isn't really going up very high here, and still the red is bigger than the blue. The pressures under lead foot here are not only going down, they're going towards the target, spiking this blue arrow, this force, and then coming into your impact. Again, you can see this is a common mistake we see with so many amateurs. And just quickly at the graph, I know graphs are horrible, but look how relatively flat this graph is. A little bit of spiking before I started. Look at this one, spike, drop, spike, drop, spike, drop. And this is a relatively common pattern that we see with amateur golfers, where they're really trying to almost load trail foot more than lead foot, creating in these out to in club paths that so many struggle from. So we need to get the hips tilting as you're rotating your body rather than just turning. This idea of just rotating those hips, as you can see, is absolutely affecting the way people swing at the ball. Now you see two variations on this. So you see the one really common rolling kind of takeaway. This might be you. So hips turning level with a rolling takeaway. And we see these kind of back swings and then down swings. We need to then try and correct how severe that backswing gets. And then we also see as well the non-rotation in trail shoulder level hip swings, which this is really common as well, where we see this one. Level hips, just kind of put the club back up there, level shoulder turn. Now from here again, it's this way as we start down. If you're watching this video and you're one of those two people, which is a lot of you, or it's your mate, this is the video for you, and make sure you share it with them. Or don't if you want to keep beating them. So knowing this is contributing to your path, obviously what we see lots of golfers doing is trying to change path, but with these level hip turns, it's just not going to work. And that desire as well to keep pushing in that trail foot, it's so common where we are seeing much bigger spikes coming out of lead foot from better golfers. So how can we get you getting loads more tilt and reducing just only turns in your backswing? First idea, in a mirror, so easy. Just get a club, place it against your waist, and all you need to do is raise one end and lower another as you make a demo backswing. So standing golf posture, leaning forwards, and then from here I'm going to try and get the grip, the point down towards the ball, And then I'm going to get the head of the club to go and point down towards the ball as the grip comes up. Feel the ideas of your hips tilting. Lots of you, it'll be a combination of a little bit of tilt, but a lot of turn. Even some, you get this one coming up. These kind of movements. So I can use the ball if I want. I've got the toe end of the club pointing up at the sky, and I'm going to point the grip down at that ball. This is an exaggeration of tilt, so this is like a lot more than I would use, but it's great to get the feeling. And then I'm going to try and get the club down to the ball. This is more realistic on the follow through. The follow through feels much more like I could hit that ball with that club. And you want to try and line up the face. So the face lines up with the ball as if you're going to hit a straight shot. Again, we don't want it coming over and then over the ball. We want it tilting down. Look what this does to my shoulder turn, which I'll show you that video at the end. Honestly, it relates to this. And some people find it easier to work it in their hips. Some people find it easier to work it in the way they should be tilting their shoulders a lot more, rather than, again, just trying to reduce shoulder turn. The most important thing with this drill as well is think about what's happening with your knees or hips. Latch on to whatever movement feels different. So when you put the club down there, you can try and put that movement into your shot. The drill has to be thought about. The drill doesn't work as a drill. The drill is there to give you feelings that you attach your mind to, so when you're swinging, because obviously you can't see your hips, you try to recreate those ideas. Next idea, and I do this loads with students, certainly on the plates here. Remember how the blue line was really quite flat when I just turned my hips, where I was seeing big spikes and drops, because that's me getting my hip down, lead hip down, and then lead hip up. So I'm basically taking pressures off certain feet and then off on other ones. Then it's, it's spiking my pressures this way as I move around. So what I want you to do in this one is I want you to do the follow through backswing. And the follow through backswing drill requires you to just let go of good shots. This is not about hitting good shots. It's about trying to create the feeling of tilt and movement in your hips. You might hit some great shots, but this isn't about hitting better shots, this idea. So the follow through backswing is like what a left-hander would look like on their follow through, if you imagine. So if I went this way, we want this kind of movement with your legs on the backswing. And then obviously your right hand to follow through on the downswing and through. So we're going to go left knee. So lead knee goes down and way in towards right foot, comes right up. You can go right up onto your toe if you want, and then right up onto your toe. See, I lose direction. Like, it's hard to hit the ball like this. But what this drill does for so many golfers is it gets them loosening up in their legs. You see absolute spikes in speed with this. And when they start getting the timing of it, you actually start seeing some better strikes, certainly stronger ones. It's just a way bigger movement, scarier movement than what they're used to. Because remember the graph, like I said, that was very flat lined. It was like being safe and just popping it out there with a little bit of lost balance at the end. That's such a common movement with golfers. I'm trying to get you to spike your movements in the ground a little bit more, to try and influence the way the club comes down a lot more by your tilts and rotations. You can even do this one with a driver. You'll be amazed how far you hit it if you connect, but you do need to just let go. It will feel very wild. Then what you can do is you can calm it down a little bit. So in your shot, try and play a more functional one where you use the same idea, it's just a little calmer version. And this is totally going to get you the feeling of moving your body this way, getting your hips to really start to join in a more positive way, which in turn will tilt your shoulders more, which in turn it's going to fix your club path without you having to fix the direction it goes on. So thinking about where it swings. For so many of you, the direction it swings on is to do with these level turns that you put in. You've got no options. You're going to go only the way you go, no matter what you do to try and stop it. The next drill's great. You can do this on grass is best, so the ball doesn't bounce like you can see mine bounce. So I'm on a bit of a sprung floor here, so my ball's going to bounce. But what I'm going to do is just with my lead or trail hand, got my ball in my trail hand, take my lead hand out of the way. I'm going to try and tilt my hips as I move into my backswing. So lead knee comes in and down, trail knee will straighten up. And then the downswing, I'm going to try and throw the ball back here. So basically, I'm going to try and throw it into this behind me. You don't need this. You'll be able to see where yours lands. Hopefully, if you're using grass, it'll kind of just stay there. So I just threw it to the back of it there, which is why it shot forwards. But I'm going to throw my ball basically down this way as hard as possible. Because what I need to do that is I need to be going that way to do it. As soon as I move around this way, I feel like I'm going to throw it like out in front of me there. I want to throw it behind me, trail foot way, and I want to be throwing it that way. So basically down into that circle. There we go. See how mine bounces up. So be careful where you do this one, but this is totally going to spike how you move, because you're going to really try and throw it down to get out of this lead leg, and it's going to get you, again, if you get this tilt involved, this is where we start seeing, without you having to worry about where it's going, the club starting to come there rather than there. So it's the same ideas. I mean, that circle, I'm using it to throw my hands and the club into to then come through, helping me achieve that straighter path. What you can do if you're at the range, you could use something like a tee, try and get this feeling, really throw it down into that space behind you, and then the same idea with your shots. Obviously the tee's not going to do any damage if you do it on a range with a golf ball. Sorry everybody. It's so interesting watching amateurs go round in circles. We see so many of them turning so level, hips and shoulders, yet they're still really trying to manipulate where their club goes. Where for so many of you, that's why we start seeing these really kind of butchered backswings as people try to get hitting from the inside. It just doesn't help. They can't do it because they're not putting these tilts in as they try to rotate their body. Now, like I say, it's hips or shoulders. They're the same idea because they're so linked to get these tilts. If you want to see how you can do this with the shoulders, if the hips isn't making sense, this video about not turning your shoulders is as good as this video about not turning your hips, but it might just work in a different way in your mind.